South Florida, welcome to the Tuesday edition of the Real Estate Show, South Florida's #1 program about real estate, America's longest running daily radio show all about the topic of real estate. My name is Eric Willner, and I'm your host, and I'm here live Monday through Friday. That's 5 days a week. We're live here at 5 p.m. Eastern, and we are here available to you 5 different ways to consume the radio show: AM, FM, on the apps, the free apps. All you have to do is search for WWNN Money Talk Radio. You can also listen to us on our website. If all else fails, go to our website at automaticlandlord.com. That's automaticlandlord.com. And on that website, you can either listen to us live at 5 by clicking on the Listen Live at the top of the page under the Real Estate Show, or you can listen to any one of our shows that are then taped, archived, and available on demand right there on our website. We got a great show here for you today. As normal, our Tuesdays, Tools, Tips, and Techniques is where we talk about some of the applicable things. In fact, today I'm going to take a little bit of a detour here. A very interesting thing that I was working on right before the radio show is, as you know, we're talking this week about down payment assistance and assisting first-time home buyers. And one of my listeners was asking me, what does that have to do with how does that help with real estate investors? And I said, well, really quite easy to see that when you are investing in real estate and at some point in time, whether you're buying and flipping, whether you're buying, fixing and flipping, whether you're just buying and reselling, or you're just coming to the end of a long landlord's career and now want to wind things down, being able to sell at top dollar price usually means selling to entry-level or first-time home buyers. And first-time home buyers, especially in today's marketplace, have some really interesting benefits. And so one of the things that obviously popped into my mind was that many people believe that a first-time home buyer means that you've never, ever owned a house. But what's interesting, for government purposes, for banking purposes, a first-time home buyer is someone who hasn't owned in the last 3 years. So if you owned and then sold 4 years ago, if you were one of the many people that were pushed out of the real estate market back in 2008 or 9 or 10 and are ready to re-enter the market, guess what? You get the benefits of being a first-time home buyer. You get treated like a first-time home buyer, and you're eligible for some of these down payment assistance programs that I'm talking about, for some of the grant money that I'm talking about. And that's why, if you want to learn more, because there's so much out there, I would, even if I spent the entire week talking about down payment assistance, I won't cover everything. I won't be able to cover everything, because it is such a broad and deep topic. And like I said yesterday, as we were laying out the agenda for the week and we were laying out sort of the parameters, it's not just as easy as saying I want a down payment assistance. Maybe a seller will give you some down payment assistance. Maybe your parents will give you some down payment assistance. Maybe it's your local government, your city, county, state. And there are even national programs, and depending on what the next, stimulus act includes, there could be federal down payment money, and all of those have to work in cooperation with the mortgage that you get. So pretty much by definition, unless somebody gives you a 100% down payment assistance. And some of you may be lucky enough to get that from a parent or a relative. But if you're not getting 100% down payment assistance, then you are also getting this in conjunction with a loan. And not all loans, believe it or not, allow down payment assistance. On the other hand, there are some loans that are designed for people who have down payment assistance, grant money, or anything of this nature. So if you wanted to get more information, and what I mean is some detailed information, then text the letters DPA DPA for down payment assistance. Text DPA to 561-861-2366. That's 561-861-2366. That's our special dedicated. Nobody will ever answer that line. That is strictly to text the keywords that we give out here on the radio show. It's a dedicated text line, and it automatically triggers a response depending on what keyword that you text in there. So as I was discussing with another landlord, and we were talking about some of the things that he could be doing that would help. And obviously, selling properties using down payment assistance programs allows him to charge full retail value. And as I probably discussed in one of my previous workshops, many Americans focus more on the topic of the can they afford the monthly payment versus whether they can afford the purchase price. And of course, that becomes a treadmill, if you will. Remember when I was talking about the amount of credit and debt that people were in, and how we were talking about different ways to reduce that debt. So one of the respondents to that show, and now we're in the process, kind of interesting. They have a 3.75% interest rate on their own primary mortgage. Pretty good by most stretches of the imagination. But there was a mortgage broker out there that said, but you should still refinance. And they have, I think, 17 years left on their mortgage, and they're converting them to a 15-year mortgage at a slightly lower interest rate, but it was going to cost them $10,000, almost, it's $9,000 and change, $10,000 to refinance their mortgage. Now, but wait, there's more. This was an investor, as I said, who called me about wanting to learn more about how to optimize and improve his rate, because he was now in the process of getting ready to refinance not one, not two, not three, but 4 mortgages all at the same time. A really great package deal, if you will. And all of these refinances were going to cost him north of $20,000 to refinance. And so he said, I heard your show and I wanted to find out what makes more sense for me. And so let's look at just the primary mortgage, because this applies to our first-time home buyers. We can apply this exact same strategy. Imagine being a first-time home buyer, putting 0 out-of-pocket costs into the house. So it's less expensive by far than getting into a rental property, right? It's got to qualify. That's probably the hardest part. But they now have down payment assistance, a lower payment than the rent due to the low interest rates. And even though they're taking a 30-year mortgage, the mortgage is getting paid off in a lot earlier, depending on your situation. On a first-time home buyer, we've seen them get paid off in as quickly as in 10 to 11 years. So think about that. I took a 30-year mortgage, but because I applied the automatic landlord's debt solution to it, he's able to lower the payment or lower the payoff period from 30 years down to about 11 years. So back to the case here this is a real live case. It's 4 mortgages that are in question. The first mortgage, which is the primary at 3.75%, is going to get lowered to 2.85%. So dropping about 1% and taking a 17-year loan to a 15-year loan, but the payment was going to go up $70. And the argument was by this loan officer that for an extra $70 a month, you can knock 2 years off of the payments. And I said, wait, let me try to see if we can add up the math here. There's $9,000 in closing costs. And even if you roll it into the loan, it doesn't come out of pocket. If you had taken the same $9,000 and just thrown it against your existing mortgage, you'd be paid off much, much sooner. So that didn't make any sense. You're paying a higher dollar amount. So $70 times 12, we're talking about $840 times 2 years that supposedly you would save. You've got now $1,600. That's the only argument that you could make, and that's ignoring the $9,000 in closing costs. So as a refinance, it made no sense. And here's the prettier part of the picture, because I said that we're going to take this exact same loan without refinancing, without the refinancing costs, and now he's going to be able to pay off this loan in 6.8 years. But wait, it actually gets a lot better than that. And that's what I want to tell you in the second part of the show. Like I said, I'm taking a little bit of a detour from my conversation, but it's still part and parcel to the down payment assistance conversation we're having this week. And what I want to explain to you is that it's not always what you see unless you see the numbers, not just for today and tomorrow, but to see all of the numbers, because I'm going to go over all of the numbers when we come back from this break. Because what I'm going to also add, remember I said this is an investor that was refinancing not one, but 4 loans at the same time. And little teaser, what if I told you that I wasn't just paying off the primary mortgage in 6.8 years using our strategy, but paying all of the mortgages off in 6.8 years. So knocking off we were saving over $300,000 in interest without having to refinance. So you're listening to The Real Estate Show. I'm going to go ahead and take a quick break here, a few words from our sponsors. I got great content, great information for you about this particular case. Think about what this might do if you were in these same shoes, and what would you do? You can tell me when we come back right after these words. So this is where I see the software get just absolutely beautiful. Where we're designing this program here, and I'm going to share these numbers, but without refinancing, the existing situation is going to pay off in 6.8 years, all 4 mortgages without refinancing. And mind you, that the other 3 mortgages were at 5.25%. So we can actually help them on the other loans, but a wise advisor would not have touched the first mortgage, which is why the other loan officer is going to lose a deal, because he didn't do the right thing. And welcome back. For those of you just joining us here, my name is Eric Willner. I'm the host of The Real Estate Show, South Florida's #1 program about real estate and America's longest running daily radio show, all about the topic of real estate. And we're talking today about a very interesting case. And this is a real live case of an investor who was refinancing his primary residence to take advantage of the low interest rates, plus 3 more investment properties. And what was interesting, and this is where 30 plus years of knowledge and experience and doing the right thing really matters. When he told me that he'd heard the radio show, heard about how we were saving money, lowering the effective interest rate, it piqued his interest. And I hope it piques yours as well. That without changing your lifestyle, without having to refinance. Now, I'm going to tell you in a second that sometimes it makes sense to refinance, but not always. And here's a classic situation, as I mentioned. First mortgage on the primary property, their residence, is already at 3.75%. and the bank was offering them a 2.875%. So not even 1% savings. And P.S. when I started looking into the closing costs, buried in the closing costs were 2 points. So they were about to make about $20,000 on this refinance. This bank was going to be charging over $20,000 in closing costs and points to this borrower. Now he had 3 more loans, obviously refinanced at the same time, 5.25% on each one of those loans. So certainly there's an opportunity to lower the interest rate on these rental properties. But rather than to lump everything in, I would have taken the primary out and focused just on the 3 rental properties. And then what you should do is refinance and then apply what we're talking about here, the automatic landlord's debt solution, where we can take a 30-year mortgage and cut it down to 1/2 to 1/3 without having to refinance it, without having to qualify for a modification, without having to do anything that would change your lifestyle. What your income coming in. But what we're going to do is we're going to set things up in a different way so that you have different timing of the payments, and we're going to reallocate where the payments go. Oh, and I almost forgot. They had a student loan in the mix here. So there was a total amount of debt was about $565,000, and it's split up in 4 mortgages plus a student loan. And total monthly payments of about $5,400, and obviously they had income for more than that. They were originally scheduled. Now let's take the existing situation. They're originally scheduled to pay $916,995 over the remainder of the terms of these loans. So if you pay as agreed, don't change anything, they would be paying $917,000 still to go. When we put this into our algorithms and into our software and set up the plan for them, now they were only going to pay $608,000 for a savings of $308,000, a savings of $308,000. And let me just say that one more time because it sounds so good. In essence, I could buy another piece of real estate, all cash, with the savings that we created in this plan for them. That's a big tip for the bank, by the way, wasn't it? For them to make $308,000 when we're pulling that money back. And now what we're going to show you how to do is lower the effective interest rate, which, by the way, the blended interest rate, 3.75 on the primary, 5.25 on the rentals. The student loan was still in abeyance, so it was at 0% at this point, but you're going to have to pay it, right? You're going to have to pay it. So the blended rate of all of that debt was 4.44%. Okay. And in order for you to achieve the same thing that we're doing, you would have to be able to refinance to a loan with 0.5%. In other words, we're going to effectively change the interest rate to 0.5%, not to lower it by 0.5%, but to 0.5% in the process here. You would need a loan at 0.5% to be able to equal what we're doing here. We went from 21.6 years remaining on his existing financing. Now with the refinance, paying over $20,000 in closing costs, and in some cases increasing, the rental properties were going to go flat. You're going to save a couple of years on the loan in that case, but they were still keeping their payment roughly the same, which meant that they had no improvement in cash flow at all from that point of view. But they had 26 years left, and now they will have 6.8 years. So call it 26 to 7 years. That's a huge, huge savings. 19 years we're going to save them. 19 years, that's 232 payments I'm going to save them instead of 2 years on the first mortgage and 6 years on the rental properties. I can retire this investor in about 7 years, because then now I have 3 rental properties free and clear, plus his home free and clear, lowering his debt expenses by over $5,400. Remember, that's what I said. What was their debt payments? So he would have to make $5,400 less to live the same lifestyle that he has. And of course, if he didn't drop his income at that point, he'd have $5,400 extra to spend every single month, month after month. Oh, here's the beautiful thing, because we always like to do is that we take the savings once the loan is paid off, and then we take those payments and then we put them back into an account at a whopping 1%. Okay, we're being hyper, extra, super, uber conservative here. We're putting that money just to show that if you let it compound at 1%, at the end of the 26 years, where if he does nothing, he would have free and clear properties in 26 years, but no money in the bank. If he followed the program that we set up in black and white, in writing, structured and easy to follow, then he will not only save $300,000 in interest, he'll save 19 years in payments, but he'll accumulate by taking that same monthly debt payment, putting it into a 1% interest-bearing account. He'll have $1.2 million at the end of the same period. So talk about a financial 180 in terms of how to help him. And by at the same time doing the right thing, saving him over $20,000 in mortgage closing costs, starting that proverbial mortgage amortization clock all over again. Because even the loan, the first loan, I asked him, how long have you had the loan? And he says, well, I've only got 17 years left on the loan. And I said, even though you may jump to a 15-year, you're starting the amortization. Remember, amortization schedules are front-end interest loaded, meaning that the first couple of years on a mortgage is almost all interest. So you're going to start that over again. If you're at the point of your mortgage where you're in the last 17 months, your hits to principal are already, which is what helps us to design this plan so much better. If you want to learn more about what we're doing and the magic and the power of using credit the right way, then text the word credit to 561-861-2366. You can do this right now. That won't interrupt the radio show. Text right now credit to 561-861-2366, and I'll show you in your own situation with your numbers, your existing numbers. And I don't need account numbers. I don't need Social Security. I don't need any private information. I need balances of the loans. I need interest rates, and I need the payments. And I can prepare this analysis absolutely free, absolutely no obligation. And you'll learn a lot from this little exercise. Anyway, that's all we got time for today here on our tools, tips, and techniques. I hope you enjoyed it. I think it was a good departure from our regular conversation. We'll be back again talking more about down payment assistance. In fact, we'll be talking about that, of where it stands in the news, what's ahead of us. And so don't miss tomorrow's show. You'll be listening to it right here where you are right now. So until then, until same time, 5 p.m. Eastern time, the 5 different ways you can find us. Wash those hands, drive safely, and make it a great day. Bye-bye.